All right, let's jump right in. We're heading to the Great Thar Desert in Rajasthan. Now, you probably think of it as this vast, unforgiving wasteland, right? But what if I told you it's hiding a secret that's 5,000 years old? We're about to uncover the incredible story of a brilliant civilization that was literally swallowed by a climate catastrophe.
So our story begins in a place that seems totally hostile to history. A massive ocean of sand that, believe it or not, holds way more secrets than you can possibly imagine.
We're talking about the Thar Desert. I mean, this thing is one of the largest on Earth. It stretches for over 200,000 square kilometers, with these gigantic sand dunes. Some of them are nearly 500 feet high. That's like a 50-story building, made of sand. It's an incredibly remote and harsh place.
And this isn't a new perception. For centuries, this area was known as Marusthali, which literally translates to the region of death. It was seen as the kind of place where history just goes to get buried and completely forgotten.
But here's the question that drives this whole explainer. What if that's not the whole story? What if, buried deep down beneath all that sand, there's evidence of a world that didn't just fade away, but was actively erased by the forces of nature?
To solve this mystery, we first need to meet the victim, if you will. And this was one of the ancient world's most brilliant and, frankly, most enigmatic societies.
Meet the Indus Valley Civilization, sometimes called the Harappan Civilization. Flourishing over 5,000 years ago, these guys were one of the big three early civilizations, right up there with ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. They were true pioneers.
And the scale of this place, it's just staggering. At its absolute peak, the Indus Valley civilization was home to an estimated 5 million people. This made it the most widespread ancient civilization of its time, covering this huge swath of modern-day Pakistan and northwestern India.
And we're not talking about simple villages here. These people were absolute masters of urban planning. Their cities, like the famous Mohenjo-Daro, were laid out on a perfect grid. They used standardized baked bricks. Think of the logistics of that. They built the world's first known urban sanitation systems with drains in nearly every single house. They had enormous public buildings, standardized weights to ensure fair trade, and a network that went all the way to Mesopotamia.
But for all their genius, they left us one massive puzzle. You see, they had a writing system. We found it on thousands of these small stone seals, but we still can't read it. After decades of trying, it's still a complete mystery. We don't know their language, we can't hear their stories in their own words.
And then it all just started to go wrong. Around 1900 BCE, their magnificent cities began to shrink. The writing just disappears. And within a couple of centuries, these once thriving hubs were completely abandoned. Which leaves us with the million-dollar question. Why?
The biggest clue to solving this puzzle isn't in some ancient tomb. It's actually a combination of ancient legend and cutting-edge science. It's the story of a ghost river.
In the Rig Veda, one of the oldest texts on Earth, there are all these hymns praising a powerful river called the Saraswati. It's described as this colossal force of nature, flowing from the Himalayas all the way to the sea. For a very long time, scholars just thought, okay, that's a nice myth.
But this is where myth and science just spectacularly collide. For centuries, it was just a legend. But now modern satellite imagery has revealed a massive, ancient riverbed, a paleochannel, running through the exact same region. Geologists are pretty sure this is the physical ghost of that legendary river.
And here it is. This is the smoking gun. When archaeologists mapped out the Indus settlements, they found that hundreds of them, including major cities like Kalibangan, are located directly along the path of this dead river. This was absolutely not a coincidence. This river was their lifeline, just like the Nile was for ancient Egypt.
So, if this river was their lifeline, what cut it? The answer, it turns out, was a climate catastrophe on a truly global scale.
Scientists call it the 4.2 kiloyear event. Basically, around 4,200 years ago, the entire global climate took a sharp, abrupt turn. We have evidence from ice cores, from cave deposits, you name it, and it all shows this event caused widespread, century-long drought, primarily by weakening the incredibly important Asian monsoons.
And that triggered this devastating domino effect.
The global climate shifts, the monsoons get weaker. This starves their great river system of water until their lifeblood just vanishes. Without reliable water, their very advanced agriculture collapses. And without the food to support massive urban populations, the great cities empty out. It's a tragic, logical cascade.
Now, this collapse wasn't instant. It was a slow, painful process. And understanding what happened to the people, how they reacted, gives us the most important lesson from this entire story.
Just try to put yourself in their shoes. Imagine you're a farmer. For generations, your family has lived and died by the rhythm of this river. But now, that rhythm is totally broken. Some years, there's no water at all, and your crops wither. Other years, out of nowhere, you get these devastating floods that destroy everything. The very thing you worshipped as a life giver has become a source of constant, gnawing fear.
And archaeological surveys show us exactly what people did. It's fascinating. As the climate changed, you see the population along that old riverbed just plummet. But at the same time, new, smaller settlements start popping up further east, over in the Gangetic Plain, where the monsoon rainfall was a bit more reliable. They were on the move.
So the big takeaway here is that the great Indus Valley civilization didn't actually vanish. It transformed. The people abandoned their huge cities, they decentralized into smaller communities, and they adapted to a new, more rural way of life. It's a story not of extinction, but of retreat and incredible resilience.
And this brings us right back to the ultimate lesson buried in the sand. The story of this lost world is a stark warning. It proves that no matter how advanced, how organized, or how powerful a civilization becomes, it is never, ever immune to the fundamental forces of its climate.
You know, the story of the Harappans feels almost eerily relevant today. The same forces, shifting monsoons, changing rainfall, long droughts, are at the very center of our own modern climate conversations. And it just leaves us with this one final, urgent question. What other secrets and what other warnings are still waiting out there for us to find beneath the sand?